Hello, welcome to our Modern Art YouTube channel. Today we'll be talking about everything you need to know on COVID-19 vaccines. COVID-19 is an illness that is caused by a new coronavirus called SARS-CoV-2. Coronaviruses also causes colds and more serious illness such as SARS and MERS. It has been said that COVID-19 is man-made. What we know is that other coronaviruses have been there, such as SARS, MERS, that have jumped from animals to people. Researchers are investigating the origin of the virus, although they are not sure which animal SARS-CoV-2 came from. They have found a virus in bats, and that is 96% similar to human form. So SARS-CoV-2 is passed in tiny small particles that nobody can see. Now these tiny particles enter the air when someone who has COVID-19 lets out their breath. That they talking, they singing, they sneeze, or they cough. Now when another person inhales these particles, or if they land in the person's eyes, nose, or mouth, they can become infected. This is called aerosolized transmission. It is possible, but much less likely, that someone could be ill with COVID-19 if they touch their eyes, nose, or mouth after touching something that has tiny particles of the virus on it.
Many people who have COVID-19 do not have symptoms, but they can still transmit the virus. For this reason, it is important to assume that anyone could have it, not just people who are ill. And COVID-19 can be prevented by keeping at least 1.5 meters away from other people, which is called social distancing, wearing a mask that covers nose and mouth, avoiding crowds, especially when indoors, keeping windows open when you are inside to get fresh air flowing, limiting the number of people that you spend time with, and socializing in outdoors, washing your hands for at least 20 seconds many times a day, use soap and water or hand sanitizer that is at least 70% alcohol. Avoiding unnecessary visits to clinics or hospitals, calling or going to your health center if you have fever and it is hard for you to breathe. Staying home and away from other people if you feel ill. Getting vaccinated. There are different types of tests for COVID-19. A viral load or PCR test look for the actual coronaviruses in person's nose using a 15,24 cm swab. In South Africa, COVID-19 testing is recommended for anyone with symptoms. If you need to be tested for COVID-19, speak with a healthcare professional who can order a test for you. Public sector testing for COVID-19 is free, and if you are using a private laboratory, check for coverage.
COVID-19 symptoms include fever, chills, sore throat, dry cough, congestion or runny nose, shortness of breath, nausea or vomiting, difficulty in breathing, diarrhea, appetite loss, conjunctivitis, red eyes or an itchy eyes that may be crusty when you wake up in the morning, appetite loss, fatigue, muscle or body aches, skin rash, headaches, new loss of taste or smell, red or purplish fingers. Or some people remain ill for months with long COVID-19 and or have permanent lung, heart or brain damage and loss of smell and taste. Because COVID-19 is a new illness, researchers are still learning about it and working to figure out what causes long-term symptoms and how to treat people who are having them. COVID-19 can also cause severe illness and death. The risk for serious illness is higher for people over age of 65 and or people with other conditions, including diabetes, high blood pressure, tuberculosis, obesity, and a weak immune system. Although people living with HIV are not more likely to get COVID-19 than other people, they are more likely to fall seriously ill, especially if they have a low CD4 cell count and are not taking HIV treatment.
Most people recover by themselves at home, while self-isolating to prevent COVID-19 from spreading fever can be treated with paracetamol. People who are taking medicine for asthma, hypertension, diabetes, HIV, or other conditions should continue taking it. Researchers are studying many treatments for COVID-19. Dexamethasone, a steroid, is recommended for seriously ill people with COVID-19 who are in hospital receiving oxygen or a ventilation, a machine that helps people who cannot breathe on their own.
When viruses and other invaders called pathogens enter the body, the immune system works in different ways to stop them from making a person feel ill. One way the immune system responds to pathogens by making Y-shaped proteins called antibodies. Each pathogen has specific antigen like a sign with the name of a business. On its outside, antibodies are custom made to recognize and stick to each specific antigen, just as people will visit a barber shop for a haircut. Vaccines also triggers the immune system to make antibodies.
Maybe you have a question of how long do antibodies last? It depends on the person and the illness. Some people produce weak antibodies or very few of them. This happens for different reasons. The immune system gets weaker as we age. HIV and other conditions may also weaken it, as do certain medicines used to suppress the immune system. Antibodies to some illnesses such as measles can last for decades, while others only last for a few months. Since COVID-19 is new, researchers are still learning about it. So far, we know that they can last for 6 to 8 months in some people. There are new vaccines for COVID-19, and we are still learning about how long they protect people. It is likely that people will need annual boosters.
T cells are white blood cells that are part of the immune system. T cells can recognize a specific pathogen when they see a fragment of it on the outside of an infected cell. T cells that have not seen a pathogen are called T cells. When naive T cells recognize a fragment of a specific pathogen, it triggers them into action and they become effector T cells. Effector T cells works in different ways to fight pathogens. The helper T cells, also called the CD4 cells, send signals to and coordinate other immune system cells to respond to invaders. While T killer cells, also called the CD8 cells, can recognize and kill cells that are infected with pathogens. After they have done their job, most of the effector T cells dies. A small group of the T memory cells will survive.
Some people are born with immune deficiencies, or they may need to take medication to suppress their immune system, or such as after organ transplant. Untreated HIV can destroy T cells and leave people vulnerable to infections. The memory T cells, which are responsible to recognize a specific pathogen, live for years, and they respond to the same pathogen when it re-enters the body, and they trigger a rapid immune response.
After a virus enters a person's body, it copies itself. Viruses can make millions or billions of copies each day. Some of these copies may have changes, which are called mutations. Mutations can weaken the virus, making it harder for them to survive. Or they can make viruses contagious or more deadly. The more people who have the virus, the more chances are the virus will mutate. SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19, has infected over 100 million in just 1 year, giving it many opportunities to mutate. A group of viruses with the same mutation is called a variant. There are already many coronavirus variants. In South Africa, a coronavirus variant called 501Y.V2 was discovered during December of 2020. The variant has mutations that make it more contagious and a mutation that helps the virus to hide from antibodies. This means that people who have already an older version of the virus can get reinfected with the new variant. And some of the coronavirus vaccines based on older versions of SARS-CoV-2 are less effective against the variant.
Vaccines works by triggering the immune response to a harmless version of or a piece of antigen, just like your own immune system does when an invader enters it. A vaccine introduces a new antigen to the immune system without making people sick, triggering B cells to make antibodies. When vaccinated cells die, they leave spike protein and pieces of other proteins in the bloodstream. Another part of the immune system called antigen-presenting cells sweeps up these spike proteins and fragments from the bloodstream. Antigen-presenting cell displays these bits of coronavirus proteins on their surface when helper T cells and killer T cells can recognize them. Helper T cells coordinate the immune response, telling B cells to make antibodies. At the same time, killer T cells find cells that are infected with coronavirus and destroy them.
Like any other medication, COVID-19 vaccine has the side effects, and these are caused by the immune system when it reacts to them. And this confuses a lot of people, and they think that the vaccine has made them sick, but it is really working. The COVID-19 vaccine side effects, which are mild, are fever, chills, pain or swelling near the injection site, feeling tired, nausea or vomiting. Some people have the vaccine allergies or they react to the vaccine. It is very important to let the professional healthcare when you develop the symptoms after getting a vaccine.
Just as there are different ways to meet people, website through friends or matchmaker at bars or parties, vaccines have different ways of introducing antigens to the immune system. No matter how coronavirus vaccine work, they are all aimed at the same target. As a part of the coronavirus called spike proteins, which sticks out from the virus. The coronavirus uses its spike proteins to enter our cells. It fits into the ACE receptor, which is the protein on the outside of the cells found throughout the body. The spike proteins fits into the ACE receptor the same way that a key fits into a lock. The main idea behind vaccines is to bring a harmless version of the coronavirus to the immune system. Once it sees them, the immune system makes antibodies that stop the spike protein from entering the cells, the same way as when the real virus enters your body.
Coronavirus vaccines work by triggering helper T cells, which coordinate the immune response, including telling B cells to make antibodies, and by triggering T killer cells, which destroy coronavirus-infected cells, and by delivering a coronavirus treated with a heat, radiation, or chemicals, so it cannot make you ill. This is called an inactivated vaccine. By using a weakened form of coronavirus that cannot make you ill, this is called a live unweighted vaccine. By bringing instructions directly to your cells so that they make their own spike proteins without the rest of the coronavirus. This is called the genetic approach. By using an inactive virus that cannot make you ill as an envelope to deliver the coronavirus to the immune system. This is called a viral vector vaccine. By using parts of the coronavirus that the immune system needs to recognize, this is called a subunit vaccine. As we all know that coronavirus is a new virus, so new information on vaccines is also coming out rapidly. So for you to get updates, you might want to look at our page. Remember, it's Modern Art for South Africa. We are available on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. The handle is @modernart4sa. If you have a website, you might want to look at www.modernart4southafrica.co.za.